Hey church family, my name is Annie Neufeld. I'm the pastor of small groups here at Lake Avenue Church, and this is your weekly small groups video. This past weekend, Pastor Jeff Matisich preached on Philippians 2 verses 12 through 18 in our series on the book of Philippians called Shine Like Stars. And in this passage, Paul shows the Philippians what it looks like to center Jesus in a culture of complaining. Pastor Jeff said that this passage can be broken down into three phrases: working out, shining out, and pouring out. First, Paul told the Philippians to work out their salvation with fear and trembling, inviting them to become who God was already shaping them to be. Paul isn't telling them that they need to work for their salvation. They had already been given salvation in Christ. Instead, they're invited to take an active part in what God was already doing in making them whole. So working out. Second, shining out. Paul invited them to shine like stars in a world that desperately needed light. Instead of grumbling and arguing, they were invited to hold onto the word of life, to hold out this offer of light to the world. Third, Paul said that he was pouring himself out for the mission of God, that he was laying his life down for the sake of the gospel, and that this brought him great joy. So working out, shining out, pouring out, this was God's vision for the Philippians, and it's God's vision for us as well. My daughter read a book this week about a little firefly named Nino, and Nino loved his job. He loved shining light into the world around him, but he longed for the day when he would be able to shine as brightly as the moon. Well, one day he got his shot. The moon needed a rest, the moon needed a break, and so he asked Nino if Nino would take over, and he was so excited, but he soon realized that he couldn't do this on his own. And so he gathered together all of his little firefly friends, and they flew up into the sky, and they lit up the world as brightly as the moon, but it was only together that they could shine bright. Church family, we too are called together to shine as one bright light, one community of faith, in order to reveal God's love to the world. But too often, we grumble and we argue, we are self-centered and arrogant, and instead of shining God's light, we create a fog that makes it harder to see Him. So this week, I want to invite you into some self-reflection. How have grumbling and arguing affected your witness in your own community? Or how have grumbling and arguing affected our witness corporately together as the church? And how do we instead shine like stars? Well, church family, I hope and I pray that this week that you encounter the living God, that you encounter the light of the world, and that we all then together reflect that light to the world around us. Go in peace.